Hey, Mark.
Hey, Liz.
What you doing?
Videoing you?
That's awesome. Hey, so again, as usual, we never know when this is going to actually be out in the real podcast world, but this is Mother's Day weekend.
Yes.
What you doing? How are you celebrating Miss Camille?
I am going to take her an orchid in
Oh,
the morning and then take her out to eat. Maybe IHOP. No, she won't go there. I wish she would.
why won't she go to IHOP?
She will. My dad will go anywhere. Waffle House, IHOP, anywhere.
Yeah, me too.
My mother is a little bit more, she loves her poached eggs.
Oh, well, Daphne, my oldest daughter, is coming home on Monday. So we're going to
Okay.
do a Monday night dinner with all the children. So I said,
right.
tomorrow, just act like it's not Mother's Day. I mean, yes,
Just
that's
tr-
tomorrow.
just- yeah.
Yeah.
the
And then
Monday.
I just kind of want to, Mark, I love my screened porch. Mm-hmm. And even when it's hot as fire,
Yeah.
I'll sit out on it. And it's not hot as fire yet. Today's a gorgeous day. My little butt's going to be on my screened porch reading my book.
Good.
I'm reading a really good book.
What is it?
It's called The Little Stranger.
Okay.
It's a gothic horror novel. And it's good. I mean, it's scary. It
How
reminds
so?
me a little bit of The Haunting of Hill House, which was on Netflix, which
I
was so good.
remember that.
And it doesn't start off real scary. And you're just kind of getting to know this family in this old crumbling mansion. And then things just start getting weirder and weirder. And there's a love story. I mean, it's just the perfect, I would have devoured this book when I was a teenage girl. And I do now. I mean, it's standing the test of time. It's
Where'd you
not old.
How did you find out about it?
TikTok.
Really?
I'm on the book talk.
I'll bet you
And
are.
I see book recommendations all the time, and half the time they're not great. But sometimes if someone recommends more than one book and I've read one and I
Yeah.
liked it, then I'll follow
That's
them.
it.
So I'm like, okay, they like what I like. And I read some guy. It was really good. And that's what I'll be doing tomorrow, Mother's Day. Yay.
Well, good. That's
know.
a good Mother's Day.
Now it's grandmother time. So we'll get started. Welcome to My Grandma's Diaries. So this is episode 6.
Yes.
So if you've made it this far, hello.
Hi.
And we love you.
We do.
And keep listening.
Yeah.
But if for some reason you just found us and you don't want to go back to listen to episode 5,
Well, then go back and listen anyway.
I think that'd be a good idea, but we'll recap it a little bit. Last episode, we met Chicken Eisenberg.
Chicken.
At least I think we did. With a name like Chicken, you can't be too sure.
Right.
Elizabeth is not dating Gussie anymore, but she's
Right.
bumping into him a lot, probably because Gussie is the big brother of her best friend, Lil.
Lil.
So Lil and Gussie, brother, sister, and Elizabeth and Gussie have broken up. We talked about what a leap year was.
Yes. You're a leap year baby.
I'm a leap year baby. I am 13
You are
and
13.
3/4 years old. I will be
That
14
sounds right.
next year. So I'm almost Elizabeth's age right
teenager.
now. Yeah, sure.
There you go.
I accept it. Let's see what else we talked about. Oh, we talked, about how America thought they were going to war with China
Right.
that year. We always think we're going to war with China, so nothing changes. So
Nothing's
now we
changed.
feel better about
Right.
our life circumstance. So that's good. Dad is still out of work.
Yes.
He had tried to become a Maytag salesman or a repairman, the last we heard, but he didn't get that job. And so everyone's real worried. About what they're going to do next.
Yeah.
We talked about how she, Frances, and Lil busted into Gussie's room
That's right.
to find that letter from Ray.
Who was Ray?
Because Ray is dating
Right,
Frances, and he
Frances's
is
boyfriend.
Gussie's best friend. You know what? I need to make
Yeah.
not just a family tree for the Instagram, but also a friend tree.
Yeah,
Like
flow
here's
chart.
Elizabeth, and then so everybody can kind of keep everybody together.
Totally.
Because not only is she hanging out with like brothers and sisters, but her own cousins.
Right.
So it gets real confusing. They're more than just friends. Anyway, let's see. Gussie's highway girl, Henrietta,
Yeah.
is out of town. So Elizabeth is super excited about that because she was super jealous.
And these highway girls would come and go. I mean, Gussie was dating her really temporarily. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
She was just like in and out, and she was building, Route 66, we think. So.
Yes, that's what we think. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
I know.
And it went straight through there. It's
And
just
we
such an
met
interesting-
Henrietta on our last
Yes.
episode, and she ended up marrying a guy who owned a gas station or worked for a gas station,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So she was just highwaying it all
Highway
along.
Henrietta.
Yeah. Oh, and they made a request on the radio, and they
yeah.
got so excited they didn't even hear the song because they're too
Right.
busy jumping around screaming. I thought that was a real cute little teenage moment, and I loved that. And then it was Valentine's Day. She got 4 Valentines. She gave none.
Right.
So she's the hot girl. And then we found out that on, I guess it was Valentine night, a young man named Bill Terrell rode by her house at least 6 times and didn't get the nerve to stop in. And then he asked her out for a date. And that's where we ended episode 5.
Oh, Bill.
February 21st, 1932. Bill Terrell stood me up tonight. February 22nd, 1932. Didn't have any classes this morning. Just fooled around after the school. We were dismissed at 10:30, and Lil and I went to town. Went to a George Washington birthday program at the school this afternoon. Lil and I went to the drugstore afterwards, talked to Linder, Pickles, and Sam. We went over to Lil's and radioed. Didn't say much to Bill today.
All right.
So Bill stands her up. That's terrible. Poor
Bill
thing.
stood her up. He was scared.
I guess he was.
He probably was intimidated by her. She was beautiful.
Oh, yes, she really was. And I don't think we ever get a picture of Bill. You know, I don't know
think so.
I don't think we ever will. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Right.
But I was really intrigued that they went to a George Washington birthday program.
Too.
So I kind of gave it a goog to see
Yes.
like if there was anything special about 1932. And it most certainly was. That wasn't just any old George Washington program.
Really?
That was the bicentennial of George Washington's birthday. And the president at that time was Herbert Hoover, and he addressed a joint session of Congress to announce that there would be celebrations all the way through Thanksgiving Day of that year. He was quoted as saying, "The true eulogy of Washington is this mighty nation. He contributed more to its origins than any other man. The influence of his character and his accomplishments has contributed to the building of some human freedom and ordered liberty, not alone upon this continent, but all continents."
There you go.
Wow, Herbert. Okay. Good speechwriter day. And then John Philip Sousa wrote a march for George Washington, and all of the Army, Marine, Navy bands got together and played it on the State House. And I have a little bit of that music that I will play now. So lots of good things will happen that year. George Washington will have a bridge named for him in Seattle. I think a lot of cities will like put up little statues and do things. So it was a good time.
And she had, it came to her school.
Yeah.
So the birthday program was at her school, right?
And they probably listened to the radio and heard Herbert Hoover speak. And I'm sure school bands and city bands all over the country were learning that John Philip Sousa march. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And I also thought, you know, what's going on in the world at that time. So while America is like rah-rahing that it's George Washington's bicentennial, a rally is being held in the Berlin sports plots, and Joseph Goebbels announced that Adolf Hitler would be running for the president of Germany. Hitler was not even at the rally because he was still trying to establish German citizenship before he could run, because he was born in Austria. Also on that very day, Ted Kennedy was born.
Wow.
So that's a big day.
Puts that into perspective.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yes, I love that. That's interesting.
Pretty cool. February 26th, 1932. Bill came over and asked me to go to a wiener roast with him tonight. Wanted to go with Sam. They came by, then Bill and I went in Louie's car, got Alice, and went out to the creek. Lights gave out on us, and we ran in the pitch. Louie and Alice took us girls home. No one was hurt. All the boys had a little wine and felt gay. Well,
I think we have to...
I felt gay once in college.
Right. And I guess I guess it was 6 years old on.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just, different vernacular. Now,
yes, of course.
The wiener roast, they had these often.
I think it's kind of cute. I guess it was cheap. And they could like put them on sticks and just build a bonfire.
You can just see them doing
and just, eat the wiener.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like a great night.
Right.
But I did find Alice.
Okay.
Alice Griffith was born April 10th, 1919. She married a man named Fred Brown in 1935. And she died at the age of 53 of breast cancer, and she had one daughter and one son.
Oh.
So, as always, wah, wah. This always ends with somebody dead.
Well, when it's 100 years later, chances are.
Yeah, right. If we find one of these alive, I will freak out. And they probably be like, what? The time? Yeah, they won't know. And I looked for Louis and Louis, and I can't, it was really hard. I can't, there are a ton of Louis.
Alice didn't marry him.
100%. And I can't narrow it down, so I'm keeping an eye on Louis, and I get, eventually I find people. But it's interesting that this is the first time she talks about people drinking.
Yes.
And which is interesting because it's prohibition.
Right.
And we will discover later in the diary that Elisabeth, she don't like people when they drink.
Right.
She gets mad. I mean, she breaks up with people over it. I mean, it's a big deal. But prohibition, I decided to learn a little hot fact about it because I don't think prohibition just dropped out of the sky. There's something had to start it. So I found out some really interesting prohibition facts.
Okay.
So prohibition begins as early as 1840, mainly out in the frontier part of the country because they're out west, these little pop-up towns. There's no entertainment except going to the bar after work and getting hammered.
Right.
And then you're coming home and maybe you're not so nice to your wife and kids, or even worse, maybe you're bringing home a venereal disease because all these bars were also brothels at the time. So it's getting a real bad rap. And in 1893, the Anti-Saloon League will begin. And by 1900, it's very, very powerful and teams up with the KKK.
Really? The anti-saloon and the KKK folks were
They joined
in bed
forces.
Together.
And you know why? Because they don't like Irish Catholics.
For real?
Because, the KKK doesn't like Catholic
either
because they don't like the Pope. And
so
I don't know really.
Common...
That they found that little common ground. So before the KKK is burning churches and crosses on people's front lawns, it's burning saloons. Then in 1915, that stupid movie, The Birth of the Nation, comes out, Birth of a Nation. Yeah. Woodrow Wilson plays it in the White House, and the KKK suddenly gets this huge membership resurgence and emboldened. That's a perfect word for it. So thanks a lot, Woodrow Wilson. I have a lot of problems with that guy. Yeah, and and it's kind of like the perfect storm because after the potato famine, 1.5 million Irish will emigrate to the United States. They're already not liked because 1.5 million of them are coming. The United States enacts anti-Irish immigration policies.
When was
because,
that?
Of course, in the late 1840s, early 1850s, the potato famine was in 1848. And Ireland lost 4 million Irish in that tragedy. That was half of their population.
Dang.
Yeah, they've never gotten those numbers back. There's 6 million people in Ireland right now. Do history.
Know that
because I had an Irishman on my tour. I do history tours in downtown Charleston, South Carolina, and we have Hibernian Hall, the big Irish society. So I always mention it because the Irish were a big part of Charleston, and he dropped all those hot facts on me.
Right.
And I tell that to everybody on my tour since then because a lot of people.
A lot of death.
It's amazing how many people on my tour go, "What was the potato famine?"
Right. Well,
I mean, they just don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's okay. There are a lot of things in history that get skipped. I mean, history is getting longer and longer, right? There's a lot to cover.
Exactly.
But that was a big deal and a big deal in America, too. So, yeah, they're the big drinking Irish Catholic.
1.5 million of them coming over.
So, one of the bigger movers in Prohibition, this is interesting, too, is a woman you will recognize, Susan B. Anthony.
What did she do?
She was a big part of the Prohibition movement.
Oh, she was anti-liquor?
Big time, because she was so pro-woman. Remember, Susan B. Anthony's the one who's the suffrage movement woman who wants women to vote. She also doesn't want women to get venereal diseases and get beat up by their drunk husbands. So she's a huge part. And you know who else is a big part of Prohibition? Who? Booker T. Washington. Because he was like, anything that can devalue a person is bad for me. So if people are getting drunk and they're causing problems and they're hurting people, I stand for let's stop that. Okay. Which I think was a pretty cool stance cause. For a black. Booker T. Washington was a black man, a big speaker for his time for people of color.
Right.
He was an important voice. But women and black people aren't going to get the job done. Right? So somebody else was going to have to step in to make this work for the government. And of all people, it was manufacturers, because manufacturers had real bad productivity issues on Mondays. Oh. Because everyone would either call out or hungover. And they were like, you know what? I don't like alcohol either. And that's what happened to get you have to follow the money. Right? That's when this amendment finally. So, yeah. Also, World War I had happened. And German people make beer, and people didn't like Germans either.
Gotcha.
So it's a huge tie-in to all the prejudices and all the I don't like yous that kind of created the 18th Amendment.
Where do you think that Elisabeth and her friends would get their liquor or beer or wine in this case?
Yeah, I'll get to that. So it's interesting. The other reason, like I was just saying, follow the money.
Yeah.
So the government finally is like, okay, they make a lot of money off alcohol because it's taxed. It's still taxed today. And they're like, well, the reason that finally changed was in 1913, the federal government had enacted the income tax.
Okay.
So now they're like, okay, we've got this income tax money. We don't need the alcohol money so much. So, and manufacturers are pressuring us, our wives at home.
Right.
So finally, we're going to get it done. So on New Year's Day of 1920, the 18th Amendment went into effect and made it illegal to manufacture, transport, or sell alcohol.
Really?
So can you imagine the New Year's Eve party in 1919 was a killer?
Seriously?
Everybody.
Sorry, folks.
Blackout. Everybody waking up next day going, what did I do?
I guess, how does that happen, though? Suddenly people were being arrested for having a glass of wine.
Yeah, but what's interesting, it's manufacture, transport, or sell.
But not drink.
Not have. So if you had like a wine cellar or if you had cases and cases of booze, as long as you're not selling it or taking it across state lines, it's really not. But what happens is not everybody has the luxury of wine cellars. So that's why today the mafia is as big as it ever was. Because they were the ones who were the bootleggers. Oh. So, yeah, the big five families that you see in The Godfather, they came about because of Prohibition.
Really?
And they owned, because it's coming in from Canada, right? And they owned certain parts of, New York, New Jersey, where they live. And then they had to all come together as a group and decide who owns what territory. If you're moving your liquor through my county, you have to pay me because you're moving it through and I'll protect you. And that's when Al Capone becomes Al Capone. It's all because if it weren't for Prohibition,
makes sense.
It would just been gambling and prostitution, which it had been before, but alcohol made it huge. Kind of crazy. But it was even more devastating in rural areas where Elisabeth will end up because they have to make their own.
Right.
And because they're not necessarily good at it, a lot of people get real sick. And I even read some articles about people like walking funny, and you knew they had gotten some bad liquor. Not like walking funny permanently because they'd just gotten bad liquor and it had just like poisoned their body or shut something down. And it made vodka one of the bigger drinks in America because it was the easiest alcohol to make. And because it doesn't necessarily taste great, that's when mixed drinks became popular. So Prohibition did a lot of things.
Well, when did it end?
The end of Prohibition occurs on December 5th of 1933 with the 21st Amendment, which repealed the 18th Amendment. So alcohol is the only thing that amended the Constitution and then came back, and that was changed.
Re-amended or whatever.
Yeah. It's the only time.
The amended?
They got rid of an amendment. There's a fancy word for it. I don't know what that is.
Alcohol.
And it's just alcohol. But there was even, I read one story about some guy like, well, if you go to Detroit, how do you get alcohol? So, well, you go into a bar and you say real loud, I want some alcohol, because the bartender's so busy serving other people. So by the end of it, everyone's drinking and no one really cares. So we're in 1932 with Elizabeth.
So it's not
They're getting their hands on some wine, maybe some bathtub gin like Annie. Right?
Okay.
And they're having a good time. But this time she doesn't seem too upset about it. She'll get real upset about it later.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I was going to mention there was someone on one of our TikToks who at one point was like, what does Elizabeth's dad do? And one of the followers was like, he's a bootlegger. And I was like, he wishes he was a bootlegger.
Right.
But even if once it became legal, why didn't he try to go get a job at like a beer plant?
Well,
or because he could have made so much money, but they probably still were just so, ew, alcohol is bad. Because for 10 years, and they raised their children thinking, that's illegal. Like how my parents would have felt about pot.
Right.
Like if they had known, and I'm not a big pot smoker, but if they had known that I ever tried it, oh my God, they probably would have cried.
Right.
Because to them, it was not a good thing.
Change. Yeah.
I know. Oh, and on this very date that Elisabeth is writing in the diary, Al Capone is serving time in Alcatraz for tax evasion.
Okay.
That's the only thing they could get him on. And it took them years to do it. There are lots of fun movies about
These
it.
criminals, they know how to do it.
It's kind of like when you become super famous, people will start looking at you more closely. It's like all these Real Housewives, and then they're all like going to jail now for fraud because people are like, "Oh, I know you, and I know your shady dealings," and then the government could be like, "How do they have all that money when their tax forms say I made $10 this year?" Right, and they're getting themselves in big trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But the interesting thing about Al Capone is that he only serves 11 years in prison. He retires to his estate in Florida.
Wow, Al.
And he dies of syphilis at the age of 48.
Well,
so he lived loud and large.
Loud and large and very illegally.
That's alcohol and how it's going there.
Okay, interesting stuff.
February 28th, 1932. Here in Belle, another month. Daddy isn't making much at getting a job. Grandpa says we have to leave by the 1st of March. I'm afraid we can't. So, Grandpa, yeah. I wonder why he was putting like a timeline on it in the first place. I mean, because he obviously knew. I mean, Louis isn't there sitting on the back porch whittling.
That's important.
He's off looking for work.
He's looking for work.
So why has Grandpa become so ornery that he's like...
Well, it may be something as simple as this was a huge family and they just didn't have room for 7 people.
Yeah.
You know, that's a pretty big crew.
Right. Yeah, I'll be interested. We have been in contact with someone from Belle. Mm-hmm. And she's going to try to help us find the Underwood family home, or at least where it would have been, or maybe what it would have looked like. So I'm really excited about that.
I am too.
You listeners are wonderful.
Yes.
And all the messages we get and all the questions, please keep them up. And if you're from this part of town, good Lord, we'd love to hear from you because this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
March 1st, 1932. Bill walked to school with me this morning, and at noon, too. Lil came over here, and after a little while, we went to town. Lloyd Smith, Othello Floyd, and Jack Johnson picked us up and took us home. Mother, Frances, and I went to the Fonvilles tonight. The kids went to the Lindners. Frances and I listened to the radio.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So Bill walked to school with me this morning and at noon too. What does the twice?
They come home for lunch.
They do?
Mm-hmm. They don't like take a bag lunch and eat it in the playground like we did as kids. They get to go home, which I think is kind of cool.
I do too.
Yeah. So he walked her, and because sometimes she'll talk about like went to school in the morning,
right,
or went to school all day. She'll talk about going back in the afternoon.
Yes.
So school is real. It just seems like it kind of was like
fluid.
Very. Like I guess if you want to come for algebra this afternoon, you know.
Yes, right. Well, there weren't standards.
Not
federal
yet.
Standards.
Yeah, not yet. So yeah, I think it's interesting too.
And if we find out where she lived, we'll know where she lived, and we have a cool downtown postcard of Belle. So,
we do. Yeah. Do I already? You know, we're so far ahead.
Right.
Things, I don't know what I've put on the online yet or not.
We need to put that.
But that postcard is adorable.
Yes.
Yes. And I would love for this woman who's gotten in touch with us to go like, just go downtown and take a couple of pictures with your phone and text me. And I mean, she works for the county and she seems to be real interested in the history of her county, and she's willing to do some research for us. She's just as kind as she can be.
Mary's County.
Yeah. Is it Mary's or Marie's?
It
is
Mary's.
There are a lot of things in that part of the world that we're saying wrong.
I looked it up in the very beginning because I thought I've got to get this right from the beginning.
Right.
So I've always said Mary's. So that indicates to me that when I first did it,
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me too. Well, we got a lot of people that we've met in this little entry, and I have found them all.
Oh, Othello, Lloyd, Jack? What?
Yeah, so Lloyd is Lloyd Smith.
Okay.
He was born on April 21st in 1914, and he will end up being a truck driver for the Frisco Railroad. He'll marry a girl named Opal Bach, and then he'll get a job as a pipeliner, and this is still in Missouri. They have one daughter named Charla. Lloyd dies in 1988, and Opal will outlive him until 2009, and she dies at the age of 95, and I have a picture of them. Oh. It looks like it probably was posted maybe, I don't know, for an anniversary, because it's them very young, and then them in the exact same pose, quite old.
Aww.
It's adorable. Aww. But I got so lucky to find that, and that will definitely be on the Patreon. You know, I'm just a Goog machine.
A Goog machine.
I'm on the Ancestry.com, the newspapers.com, and sometimes I just straight out Goog it. Because when someone lives to be 2009, come on. If your granny dies in 2009, you didn't put their picture in their obituary, shame on you. Shame on you. Because, good Lord.
Or Facebook.
Right. I know. Like, this is grandma. We love grandma. Right. I mean, come on. So, and it's, I have a lot of fun. But yeah, so that's Lloyd.
Elisabeth's dad worked for the Frisco line. Or he didn't work for them, but he had prospects.
I can't remember.
He didn't get the job.
Oh, that's right. I do. I know what you're talking about.
Which was a huge railroad line that went, I can't remember, all the way to San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, the Frisco line.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that's very cool. Well, I also found Othello, but his name was Arundel Othello Floyd.
Arundel,
yes. Okay. I know. Okay. And he will eventually go by the nickname Ted. Because, oh my God, who wouldn't? My name is Arundel Othello.
But I go by Ted.
But yes, thank God. But he was born in June of 1914, and his family owned a general store. His family owned a general store in Belle that they end up selling in 1937. During that time, he's in law school. So he was going off on a different path altogether. And in 1938, he marries a Mary Margaret Spalding, who was a school teacher. He goes to World War II in 1943. I do not know what he does in the war. But when he comes back, he and his brother will end up opening 2 stores. One is a general store like his family used to own, and the other one is an authorized Ford dealership. And it had a write-up in the paper. It had the fanciest auto mechanic area in the whole state.
Okay.
So it was super modern, and you go get your car worked on. He and his wife will have one son in 1946, and then later they'll have a second son, but I couldn't find a date for that. But anyway, they get a divorce, and he ends up living in Arizona. And in 1986, he dies in Arizona. But in the meantime, he's gotten himself a new wife, and her name is Cleedith. Like Edith.
That's an odd name.
With a CL.
Okay.
Right. So you would think, go to Ancestry.com, you could just type in Cleedith, and you'll probably find the one Cleedith, maybe 5 in the whole world.
Right.
Well, guess what? That didn't happen. I could not find this Cleedith. Does not exist. But in his obituary, he claims her as his wife and her 2 children as his stepchildren, and their last name was Rourke. So I even looked up Cleedith Rourke, and girl, I can't find you.
So who was he in the entry?
Bill walked to school with her this morning, and they went to town, and Lloyd Smith and a fellow Floyd and Jack Johnson picked us up and took us home.
So they were riding.
They were just friends, and he'll pop up again in the diary too. But yeah, I would have just read that entry, and I found Lloyd Smith. So I don't know when he got his divorce from Mary, but I'm thinking it's in the 1970s, because in 1978, his first wife, Miss Mary Margaret Spalding, was kind of a badass. And she ends up leaving teaching and joining Scholastic Inc. And she will travel all over the state and into Texas, bringing musical education into schools. And in 1978, she goes to Atlanta to open a whole new Scholastic Inc. office. So
like
she was definitely single. Yeah, like those little workbooks you'd get in school that say Scholastic Inc. I know.
And she was married to Othello.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm thinking she's doing all that work in the 70s. That had to be about when they got their divorce. Because I don't know when he moves to Arizona, but by 1986, he's dead and remarried. Or remarried and dead, probably in that order. Right, exactly. Yeah. So she was a big-time career woman. She lives to be 93, and she keeps the last name Floyd. She never changes her last name. But in her obituary, it does not say anything about him. Like, she is survived by, or she preceded in death, or any of those things they say in obituaries. Doesn't mention him at all. So there you have it. That's Othello.
All right, sweet.
Okay, and then I found Jack Johnson. Who is actually Russell Hall Jackson. Now, I guess I call him Jack because of Jackson.
I see.
Because you don't get that from the Russell at all. So I'm pretty sure that's how they got it. But the only way I was able to find him is that he's on somebody's family tree on Ancestry, and they put in parentheses that he went by Jack.
Okay.
So that's the way I 100% know I got him.
And that's what Elisabeth called him.
Sure. And I guess what everybody called him.
She mentioned his last name, which
she did.
Usually doesn't do.
I know. Well, I notice when she's new in town, she'll call everybody by their last name at least one time. Sometimes not immediately, like went with Bill and then later Bill Terrell.
Okay.
Right? And so that's why I think when I see a name and I'm like, have I not seen this name before? Did I like, this handwriting's so small. Did I just miss it? That's why it's so important to read these things 3 times.
And she wrote that for you.
She did that for me.
Yeah.
Just for
like,
me.
Just
she's
Jack
like,
Johnson,
so that one day when Liz reads it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then she never mentions it again. So if you didn't get it.
Know.
Yeah. But little Jack Johnson. Okay. Let's see. Okay. He was born in January of 1915. He had blonde hair and blue eyes.
All right, Jack.
Here you go, Jack. He becomes a school teacher and marries a woman named Margaret Davis in 1939. I read their wedding announcement in the newspaper, and it was described, quote, in a quiet ceremony at the bride's parents' home. Aww. End quote. It just sounds so simple and lovely.
Yes.
Just at the house. And I've always wanted one of my kids to get married here at my house.
They should.
They should. But Daphne has promised me that she'll have her rehearsal dinner here.
Well, that's something.
So that'll be fun. Yeah, but I just want a party at the house. And
she'll be first to go, probably.
You know what? I don't know, because Daphne is super picky. And you better have like your I's dotted and your T's crossed, or Daphne's going to say, keep walking.
Well, good.
Because she's holding out for a hero, and she should, because she's beautiful and she's smart.
Amen.
And anyway, in 1950, Jack Jackson is a salesman for the Sunshine Biscuit Company. Sunshine Biscuit Company made Cheez-Its. And I know that because as soon as I saw Sunshine Biscuit Company, I could picture the logo on. Now, they got bought out by Kellogg's in the 90s, but Cheez-Its are like one of my favorite little snacks. So I was immediately like, Cheez-Its. And he dies in 1991 at the age of 76.
All right.
Now, here's what I find is interesting. She writes this on March 1st. And on March 1st, 1932, one of the most important things to ever happen in the world, well, at the time, a huge thing happens. Charles Lindbergh's baby is kidnapped on March 1st, 1932. Right. And I think it's the coolest story. I listened to this podcast. Oh, what's it called? Crimes of the Centuries. That's what it's called. It's a really great podcast. And she had one about Charles Lindbergh and the Lindbergh baby, because Charles Lindbergh was probably the most famous man in the world.
Right.
Because he was a pilot and he flew that flight from, was it New York?
Transatlantic?
Yeah, from New York to Paris.
Yeah.
It was a 34-hour flight and he did it all by himself. And it was cold.
He was a hero around the world.
Are you kidding me? When he landed in Paris, 150,000 people were waiting at that airstrip. They didn't know when he was going to get there.
Right,
they were waiting for this, the most important thing to ever happen. I mean, this transatlantic flight.
Absolutely.
But I've read, there was a biography about him that came out not too long ago, and I listened to an interview with the author. I mean, he would hallucinate on this flight. He had to stay up for 34 hours.
Wow.
I mean, how do you pee? What if you had to poop?
Well, you just go.
You just don't. You just don't. Or you
well,
poop,
you don't just don't.
Well, I mean, I guess you've got too much going on. You don't have to think about pooping.
No. Yeah.
Like when you go on vacation and suddenly you're like, I haven't gone to the bathroom in 3 days.
Well, that's true. That's probably what it's like.
So he's like
40,000 feet. Yeah.
But can you imagine the and I just don't know how he did it. So what a hero. When he came back, 400,000 people were at a ticker tape parade for him in New York City. He was more famous than the president, than any world leader, than the Pope. I mean, you name it. There was nobody. Everybody wanted him to run for president. Good thing he didn't, because I think he was kind of a Nazi.
Oh.
Wasn't he a Nazi sympathizer?
I don't know that.
I've heard that too many times.
I
think maybe in later in life he wasn't, or maybe after the war he was like, oh dang. But I think at first he was probably like, hey, that's not such a bad idea.
Right.
And then he hopefully was disgusted. But little Charlie Lindbergh was 18 months old when he was kidnapped. And the most interesting thing about his kidnapping is that Charles Lindbergh was not supposed to be home.
Okay.
But he'd, for some reason, gotten his dates wrong. He was supposed to be at a speech, but he was home working in his office. And he heard like a bang. And he paused and thought, like, okay, and didn't hear anything else and just kept on working. And then later at the house, the nanny is screaming because she's gone to check on the baby and the baby's gone. They find off the side of the house, there's a broken ladder, like one of the rungs of the ladder broke. So it was a handmade, like makeshift, like let me make a ladder real quick. Yeah. So it looks like someone made the ladder and climbed up it and then it broke. Coming down with the extra weight of a chunky little 18-month-old baby. Right. So what they assume now is that child died immediately.
Wait a minute. Did they never find that?
Yeah,
I forgot
they did.
how that ended up.
No. So the baby is kidnapped on March 1st. In May of the same year, 1932, some truck driver has to pee. Okay. This is the podcast today about peeing. he pulls over on the side of the road and finds the remains of the baby who had head contusions. So what they're thinking is the guy who kidnapped him didn't account for the weight of the baby. The ladder broke. The baby landed on the concrete that was below the window, died immediately.
So much sense.
But in the course, dead the whole time. In the course of finding this poor little dead baby, the Lindberghs got 15 ransom notes, and they were all by the same person. And they believed it was a German man because he would spell things like Germans would, who had just, because German spelling, it has those E's and U's and things in weird places. And he would draw little doodles on the ransom notes. And then at one point, he sent them the baby's sleep suit.
God.
Because he had it, because he probably realized, oh crap, I've accidentally killed the baby, but let me take the little sleep suit. So when they're like, prove you have the baby, I have something. And they ended up catching the guy. His name was Hauptmann. And the main reason that I told this whole story is that I cannot believe that the biggest thing in the world is happening. She'll never mention it. Not even they found the Lindbergh baby today.
Why do you think not?
Well, I know exactly why. Okay. And because she'll have moved and her living situation has changed.
Okay.
But later in the diary, in like 1936, there'll be one sentence, Hauptmann was killed today.
Really?
And I remember reading it the first time going, who? And I even went to look up executions in Missouri, thinking it was some local guy.
Yeah.
It was the kidnapper of the Lindbergh baby. And of all this drama that goes on for years and months, she just mentions that one thing.
She keeps up.
Oh, she does keep up. But the fact that she never, his name was Bruno Richard Hauptmann.
Her diaries were about her and her friends.
For sure.
Her life.
But every once in a while, she'll say the George Washington celebration or Roosevelt's on the radio or things like that. Yeah. So I'm surprised that she wouldn't be like, oh my God, the Lindbergh, the Duran baby dies. Yes. But she doesn't mention Charles Lindbergh.
Yeah. I
thought that was really weird. But then again, she's 14.
Exactly.
So she's thinking about Bill. March 2nd, 1932. Bill walked home with me and Lil after school today, and then we got Francis and went to town. Talked to Chick, Sam, Pickles, and a lot of kids. Went to Lil's and heard Phil Baxter. Went to town around 6 to get some butter. Othello walked me home. Grandpa told all of us at the supper not to worry, he'd keep us. Had a free demonstration of talkies at school.
Interesting talkies.
So thank God, Grandpa.
Yeah.
But what I wonder if he was like, okay, stay as long as you need to, because his wife, his daughter probably cried, and his wife was like,
don't let him leave,
George. Exactly.
Right.
So I guess he got henpecked into coming to his senses.
And I think you have that picture of them up on Patreon. I'm not sure.
I think it goes. Oh, by now I do. But 1,000,000%.
But it is.
Yeah, I think go back to episode 3, and you'll see pictures of the Underwoods.
It's just their features. I just can't. I know. They're like etched in your brain.
It's really they're interesting looking people.
Yeah.
And Bess, their daughter,
correct,
Elisabeth, has such soft.
Yeah.
Like she's like a beautiful little doll baby.
Yeah.
By the time she gets to be an older woman. The difficulties of her life show on her face.
Sure do.
And her shoulders. There's a picture of her maybe at the wedding, or maybe it's one way after, where her shoulders are just. Yeah. She's worked hard.
Yeah.
Bless her heart.
Yeah.
I know.
Beautiful.
But talkies. They went to a free demonstration of talkies.
They toured the talkies.
Really?
Yeah, around that time when I edited this piece for TikTok, I did some research, and they would have these it was exactly that, a demonstration of talkies. They'd bring the projector in and show little, reels.
How they were made?
No, it was hey, look, films can have talking now.
Oh, yeah.
It was no longer silent films. It was like, a traveling demonstration of look at, the technology of today.
Oh, that's interesting. Because, I thought by now talkies were just movies.
Well,
I did look it up too, because they will continue to make silent films.
The talkies were in the 1920s, but
So, yes, silent films continued to be made after 1920, and the last silent film was actually made in 1936.
Okay.
So they're still, I guess the talkie is still kind of like a new fun thing.
I think the first one was The Jazz Singer.
It was.
In 1927. So for her, you know how you would be in school and like you'd get a visitor, be so excited? That was the demonstration, the demonstration of the talkie guy was coming today.
Oh, that's so cool.
I know.
Yeah. No, I think that's so neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to find out what the last silent film was, and it was a Chinese film called Song at Midnight. So the Chinese were still making silent films the longest. America got the technology first, which is, that's kind of, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So talkies at the school.
That's neat.
March 4th, 1932. Francis and I went walking tonight. Bill met us and went with us. Then we went down to Mrs. Fonville's. Bill and I talked out on the front porch of the house. We have a date tomorrow night. Went in at Miss Fonville's, talked, and ate apples.
So they're always walking around talking about boys, those two, Francis and Elisabeth.
Yeah, and they're hanging out at the Fonvilles quite a lot, which I think is charming because Mrs. Fonville, if you'll remember, is the foster mother of a woman who becomes an Underwood. So she's now like the foster grandmother of Velma, who is Francis's good buddy. She ends up being in Francis, was at Velma's wedding, was the only attendant. So they're really close to the Fonvilles. Miss Fonville is family. And I think that's really sweet because as a foster mom, never having children of her own, but opening up her heart to these kids in those days. Yeah, I love everything.
Apples.
I know. And taking care of everybody.
Yeah.
Because, Elizabeth's family, they don't have anything. Everybody in town knows it. They're like probably trying to help them out.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
I know. Bless their hearts. March 5th, 1932. It snowed this morning. Mother and I went downtown to Mrs. Fonville's, and she gave us some fruit. We went to town, went in the drugstore, and saw the pictures we took last Sunday. Talked to a lot of boys in there. Bill took me to the vocational agriculture play at the school tonight. George in a Jam.
I looked and looked and looked.
For George in a Jam?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you find it?
Oh, I did.
Oh, good. What is it?
Yes. George in a Jam is a British play written by a playwright and screenwriter, J.B. Priestley. It was first performed in 1932 and tells the story of George Radfern, a young man who is about to marry his girlfriend, but finds himself in a difficult situation when his old flame arrives in town and rekindles his feelings for her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was a legit show.
Yeah, it was a cute little play that traveled.
Okay.
I found the little program for it and everything. Isn't that cute?
Sweet.
And this J.B. Priestley will go on to write lots and lots of plays, but George in a Jam ends up being his most famous. But I love that they went to the vocational agriculture play.
Yes.
I mean, it made me think, is George in a Jam a farmer who's having a tricky time planting that seed? Let's talk about agriculture.
No.
I guess so. I think what she meant to say was I went to the vocational agriculture school to see the play.
So
and maybe she was running out of room in that entry and just...
Well, she also... This is not the Aggie, right? This is different than
Is
the
it
Aggie.
not? Wouldn't it be the Aggie? How many schools did they have in town?
School. That was Monticello. We're in Belle. I think in Belle, it was probably a local agriculture college kind of thing.
Huh.
Where they had some sort of facility to put a play on.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the farmers. Let's do a play. Well, we're going to talk about Bill later because Bill is going to stick around for a while. But let's talk about who Bill is and who his family is.
Okay.
Because his father is a super interesting guy.
Yeah.
George Terrell was the Democrat elected to the state legislature in 1902 and again in 1928. He runs again in 1932 and loses his election, and Elisabeth will mention this in the diary when we get to that point. So she stays in touch with Bill for quite a while.
Bill's dad?
This is Bill's dad. He was a prosecuting attorney for Mary's County for 5 terms and was a probate judge. So they're super fancy people. And John Terrell dies from cancer in 1950, and his brother Edward will die on the exact same day.
Whoa.
I think that's pretty cool. I wonder who went first.
Wow.
And that just reminds me of my favorite story of 2 people dying on the exact same day. And it's Thomas Jefferson and John Adams died on the 50th anniversary of July 4th within hours of each other.
Really?
The cool thing about Thomas Jefferson and John Adams was that they were really good friends, and then they became bitter enemies when John Adams was president, and then Thomas Jefferson becomes president next, and they don't speak for the longest time. And then one of them writes the other a letter to say, like, this is silly.
Right.
And then they become the dearest of friends.
Oh.
And their letters back and forth are historical gems.
Really?
That people
I did
have
not know
studied
that.
and read. It's really
What a
cool.
sweet story.
But what's really, really cool is that when I was reading all those biographies of every American president, a lot of them would end with their final words. And I thought, oh God, I want to know the last word of every American president. Well, some of them die suddenly and some of them get shot in the head. So we don't know what their last words were. But Thomas Jefferson, he dies first. And his very last words were, "No, doctor, nothing more." But what's interesting is that right before Thomas Jefferson died, he called all of his servants into the room and spoke to them privately.
Okay.
I often
wonder
hope,
what was said.
Well, I just hope it was an apology.
Yeah.
Because at the end of his life,
Right.
he was afraid of what heaven would do to him because of slavery.
Oh, is that right?
No, he said that pretty openly.
All right.
And knew that it was something he was going to have to be reckoned with. It's kind of interesting.
He had his chains on, just like Marley, the ghost.
And it's really funny because since his last words were "No, doctor, nothing
Yeah.
more," he would have had a way better ending line until his stupid doctor came in.
Yeah.
But his real last lines would have been, "Is this the 4th of July?" Because apparently he would be waking in and up out of his
And that
active
would be
dying,
his-
and he kept asking, "Is it the 4th of July? Is it the 4th of July?" So he asked one last time. Stupid doctor's like, "Let's give him more drugs," and then he had to say, "No, doctor,
how funny.
back off."
Oh, I mean, not.
It's the
yeah,
4th of
right.
July. So he dies. And then a few hours later, John Adams dies. And John Adams' last words were, now some people have said different things, but his last words were, "Thomas Jefferson still lives." And it makes me think that he's in bed and as a ghost, because I believe in this kind of stuff, Thomas Jefferson came to him and he saw him. Like how my mom kept seeing her grandmother in the room when she was dying. She's like, "Mamie is right there. Everybody, there's Mamie." And I'm like, "Oh,
Wow.
what is
He
Mamie?"
saw him.
So he saw him.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, like he's still alive." Some people also
Those
think
were
he
his
just
last
said,
words?
it's either Thomas Jefferson still lives or Thomas Jefferson lives.
And they were not in the same room.
They weren't even in
together.
the same state. John Adams was in Massachusetts and Thomas Jefferson was in Monticello.
Cello.
We can finally put the
Wow.
ch in it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's-
Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. And they died on the same day, the 50th anniversary of the 4th of July. I mean, isn't that neat?
Yeah, it is.
So that's pretty cool. And just for fun, George Washington's last words
Yeah.
were, "I am just going. Have me decently buried, and do not let my body be put into the vault less than 3 days after I am dead. Do you understand me? Oh. 'Tis well."
God.
He was so afraid of being buried
Intense.
alive.
Is that? Oh.
Everybody was back then because it happened.
of
You've seen those
course.
Victorian graves where they have the bell.
Yes,
So if you're in
right.
your coffin, you get ding,
Good
ding, ding, ding,
idea.
and like, "Hey, I was just sleeping real hard, y'all."
Yeah.
I mean, that always makes me nervous. Like anytime I've
Wow.
seen I just rewatched Ozark recently.
Yes.
And every time they put someone in the crematorium, I'm like, are they really dead?
you sure?
Are they going to wake up going, "Ah"? It's my biggest fear too. So I'm just,
and his,
but
I guess, as well.
I guess,
3
well,
days. Give him 3 days.
yeah, he had good reason. March 8th, 1932. Lillian came to my house. Velma was here with Francis, and we went down to the post office. I had the headache real bad, but felt better after we went to town after bread. I feel sort of sick. Velma says I'm lovesick. Oh, yeah? Oh, me. March 11th, 1932. Didn't go to school any today. I was sick in bed with the flu. Lil, Bill, and Billy wrote me a little note at noon, and Bill wrote one this afternoon.
Was she lovesick or sick?
I think she was sick.
I do too.
But it's nice that Bill came to visit. And, after we've just gone through a pandemic, I'm like, oh, no,
Yeah.
Bill, don't go visit her. You'll get sick. You're going to get your whole family sick.
Yeah.
So it's funny, our knee-jerk reaction. Even now, if I watch like an old movie and someone blows out candles on a cake, I'm like, oh my God. Although I do remember once going to a little birthday party for the neighbor right down the street, and his daughter literally blew out the candles and sneezed at the exact same moment. So it was coming out the mouth and the nose.
Oh, no.
And
yuck.
and we all just kind of looked around like,
Ew.
don't even try. They served that cake.
Don't.
And I love cake.
Yeah, but
And even then, I was like, I don't love cake that much.
no.
But it's interesting, on the exact same day that Elizabeth is sick with the flu, that day in history, in March 1932, the German presidential election was held, and Adolf Hitler, although he received 7 million fewer votes than his opponent, still gets a runoff because his opponent didn't run by a 50% majority. German rules are weird. Like you can just become a citizen the day before the election, apparently, like Adolf Hitler did, which is kind of dumb. So he has a runoff that he'll get to do in April. So Hitler is, and the Nazi party is cranking up.
Do you think Elisabeth, if that was on her radar at all, this little girl in the middle of middle America?
Not yet, but it will.
Right.
Even before we enter the war, I'm in 1941 right now, finally reading those diaries. And she's a very sophisticated reader. She's reading books that I had to read in high school, like Native Son and How Green Was My Valley. And she doesn't, some of them, she's like, I don't really understand it, but I find it interesting. And I thought, she's establishing, your mom had talked about it in the bonus episode on the Patreon about how her mom started a library in Marble Hill. There was already a little library, but she got on the board and made it better. And they would have meetings and talk about the books. And so the, I guess, official librarian woman would send Elizabeth home with these books. And they really, she's not just reading Son of Tarzan anymore. She's reading really deep thinking books that people study.
Wow.
It's been really fun to follow her reading list.
Does
because
she write down the names of every book? Yeah, she keeps lists.
Always.
Right.
I mean, she'll just be like, sat down and read Gone with the Wind some today. Or she does read Gone with the Wind. She gets so excited about going to see it in the movies. Who would blame her? And at one point, she's reading Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which is one of my favorite books. Yeah. And I was so excited for her to say like, oh my God, it was the best book I ever read. And she just didn't mention it. And I'm like, oh, good. It's so good though. But yeah, she's never without a book.
Wow.
But just real sophisticated
reader. Was she
reader.
a fast reader?
Yes. Well, now, I say that, but she had little babies who napped, and sometimes she'd read while they napped, so she did have time. March 16th, 1932. Frances, Lil, and I went to town, picked up an old highway sign, and put it in Lil's room. It rained so hard that Gussie took Frances and me home in the car. Bill said Earlene talked to him last night.
Earlene.
All right, Earlene, back off our man.
Isn't that a Dolly Parton song?
Yeah.
Jolene.
Oh, because I was about to say, now
Earlene.
you've knocked it out of my head. Earlene. Oh, let's rewrite it. But Earlene is actually Arlene Johnson. Maybe they just pronounced it Earlene.
Right.
Oh, my God. I had a girl on my tour the other day.
Yes.
And she told me her name was Donna.
And
I was like, what a beautiful name. I said, how fascinating. No. And then it was just Donna. And she had an accent. But the whole time I called her Donna. Because I thought that's how you pronounced it. And I was so embarrassed. And I felt so bad. I mean, you can't help it if you have a colloquial kind of accent. But then
Liz is from South Carolina, and I'm sure they were from somewhere up north.
Well, actually, she was very Southern.
Oh, she was
just
like
said
extreme Southern.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
And just, didn't know how to say her own name, bless her heart.
Donna.
So, oh my God. Jesus. I was so embarrassed. Right. Anyway, but so Arlene Johnson, she's born in 1916. She was a member of a very prominent Belle family, one of the first families to settle in the area in 1828. And her father was a hugely respected doctor, and his obituary is so long, and it talks about all the flowers and all the people. So that means that he was a big, well-loved part of his community, and that's pretty cool. Arlene marries a man named John Hall, who is the partner of a bank. So she did well. And they'll have, I don't know, maybe not. Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, she gets married in the 30s. So she's doing all right. And they will have 4 children. One of them dies in infancy. That's sad. And she dies in 1980. Earlene. And her husband will outlive her by another 16 years, but never remarries. Oh. Which is sweet because a lot of men can't handle it.
Right.
And they get married right away. Yeah. Oh, we'll find one of those coming up soon too. But anyway. March 21st, 1932. Frances and I walked home with Bill, read Little Orphan Annie books to Dean and Helen tonight. Then we helped Dean with her arithmetic. Gussie is getting as he has something more to say. He brought Frances and me home yesterday. We had to push the car. He talked quite a bit. I think I still like him a little.
Gussie.
So there's Gussie sneaking his way back in.
It's like a horse race.
I think it's just you want what you can't have.
That's exactly what it is.
And I think she's like, well, that highway girl is gone, and Gussie is kind of cute.
Right.
We do have a picture of Gussie.
Oh.
So that for sure.
Is that on
we've wrapped him up. Yeah.
Right.
So I'll repost it for this episode because he's still sticking around. But just to wrap it up, Little Orphan Annie was a character in an American comic strip created by Harold Gray, and Annie first appeared in the New York Daily News on August 5th of 1924 and ran until 2010. So it had a long life, and it follows the adventures of a young girl named Annie who was orphaned and taken in by a wealthy industrialist named Daddy Warbucks. Now, it's interesting because in 1924, that's the real boom. The roaring 20s, manufacturing is huge. You can, if you own a factory, you're it, and that's who Daddy Warbucks was. So that's pretty cool. But Annie is known for the phrase, leaping lizards and gee whiz. So that's kind of where that little vernacular came from. Okay. And she has her little friends, including her dog Sandy. And of course, Annie was a big play on Broadway, and everybody, it's a movie with Carol Burnett. But Sarah Jessica Parker was Annie in 1979. And when I first thought, was she? And I looked online, and someone had posted a very respectable website that was like a Mandela effect, and she never had been. And I was like, what? So I went to her own page, and it's there in her playbill.
Yeah,
so
she was.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. March 24th, 1932. Talked to Bill and Pickles in front of the butcher shop. Pickles brought us some candy. We sat in his car. Then we went to a field and got a lesson in golf. Then Pickles took us for a little ride. Bill sulked and got mad about something. Frances and I got out at Lil's and stayed a few minutes. All of us talked to Grandpa and Grandma tonight. March 25th, 1932. We three girls went to town tonight, stood out in front of the meat market and talked to Gussie and Pickles. They brought us home. Bill is mad, and I think he got drunk.
Alcohol again.
There we have it. Now suddenly she's like, there's no being gay anymore.
Right.
There's just drinking.
Yeah.
Bill's in trouble.
He is in trouble.
March 28th, 1932. Bill told me to ask him not to smoke anymore, so I did. Gee, I like him a lot. I just realized it. I'm planning on some keen times in April. Last month of school. April 1st, 1932. Went to the sophomore wiener roast tonight. Bill and I went in Casey's car. We went to the clubhouse down by the river, a swell night for a wiener roast. I sure did have a good time. I hope Bill did too. April 2nd, 1932. Louie and Lil came by tonight and took me to the junior-senior banquet at the school. We got to serve. Bill and Louie came after we went riding, and I spent the night with Lil. I think Gussie wanted me to go with him and Lil to go with Earl.
First of all, Bill be smoking. How does she feel about that?
Well, I bet everybody smoked.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, I know. I mean, yeah, no one knew it was bad for you.
Bill told me to ask him not to smoke anymore. So she must
maybe
not have liked it.
She must not have liked it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, the smell.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Liquor and cigarettes.
So that's where we're going to wrap up this week's episode. We're going to head into next week's and see, now we've got Bill and Gussie. So we're back, two boys. She likes to have two boys at a time because there's safety in numbers. And there you have it. So
All right.
Y'all, don't forget, our Patreon is up and running. I thank the Patreoners who have already joined us so much. I appreciate the support and the trust you have in us to create content for you. But at the $5 level, you get pictures of all the things we've been talking about, plus our semi-weekly TikTok lives. We do our best, y'all, keeping up with those lives. It takes a lot of energy, and we like to post those at the $5 level just for a little fun. The $10 level is where all the excitement is, because you get all the pictures and the TikToks, but you get either a bonus episode or you get an episode a week early. So the $10 level is a good deal. Join us there. And thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Oh, also Instagram, My Grandma's Diaries. And we are on Facebook. By the time you get this, we'll have been on Facebook for a while. And that's the only place where our name is different. There we are, Elisabeth's Diaries.
It might be changed by then, though, to My Grandma's Diaries. Hopefully.
We're doing our best.
Yeah.
So either look for My Grandma's Diaries or Elisabeth's Diaries, but you'll know it's us because of the beautiful picture of Elisabeth Hartzell. And come find us and join in all the fun. And yay, have a great day.
Bye.
Happy Mother's Day. Oh, it's already passed.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Goodbye.